Welcome to another episode of the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. My name is Alan Babbitt. I'm the Sports Information Director at Hope College, where we believe intercollegiate sport is a powerful vehicle for education and personal development. The mission of Hope Athletics is to promote and provide programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experiences. Monthly conversations with members of the Orange and Blue family spotlight their experiences with the Hope Athletics mission. With me today on the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue podcast is Connor Vachon, a recent Hope College graduate and former cross-country and track standout. Connor was this year's male recipient of the Be Strong, Be True Athlete of the Year award. The Be Strong, Be True Athlete of the Year award is presented to a junior or senior who demonstrates the true essence of being a student athlete and embodies the Division III motto of discover, develop, and dedicate. This student athlete is in high academic standing with a minimum GPA of 3.50, plays a significant role on their team, and is involved with the Hope and Holland community. Welcome to the Orange and Blue podcast, Connor.
Thanks for having me, Alan.
I certainly know you very well because I've been writing about you for 4 years and 12 seasons, but those listening might not know you as much. So let's dive into first a little bit about your background and where did you grow up?
I am from Grand Rapids. I went to Jenison HS, so only about 30 minutes east of here, of Holland.
Tell me about growing up in Jenison and your family and kind of how that shaped you before you came to Hope.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have a great place where I felt like I belonged to Jenison. When I was in elementary school, my mom actually taught at Rosewood Elementary, which is where I went. So it was nice to kind of have a closer relationship with my mom all throughout my elementary years. And, I got to know a lot of my lifelong friends in middle school, high school, and elementary, which is great. And yeah, my family is all kind of, I'm the youngest. So my sister Gabby actually played volleyball at Hope for 4 years. I believe she still has the 3-set dig record.
I think you're right. I see her obviously she's helping out Coach Schmidt too with coaching now. So she probably still has that record.
Yeah, which I think is cool. So, she kind of set the example of, hey, let's go the athletic route in college. My brother went to Notre Dame, extremely brilliant guy. He got a chemical engineering degree. So definitely paved the way. They did before me as I went through high school. So I was kind of in their influence a little bit. And I wanted to go my own path. So I was like, I'm definitely not going to Hope or Notre Dame. And that didn't work out once I visited. I really liked Hope. I just didn't want to follow what my sister had done, but I definitely carved my own path here and got to fight for the Dutch, run for the Dutch while I was doing it, which is great.
Obviously, with having your mom as a teacher, I had the same thing as I did growing up. How did that shape you? Obviously, education is something with your family was important, really, from probably the moments once you started reading. How did that get incorporated, the value of education?
I think having a teacher as a parent, they really, my mom definitely focused on educating my siblings and I pretty well. We were all top 10 in our classes. So we kind of had a leg up just because, especially her being elementary, she knew the developmental milestones. When you're studying that for your career, you definitely take those applications and apply it to your own children. So that definitely just helped make school feel a little bit easier, I think, and gave me the confidence to branch out and try a lot of different things. So along with athletics, I also do theater and got involved in a lot of different student organizations, not just in college, but also as early as middle school. I was being involved in everything I could because I just liked doing so many different things. I found learning something new and trying to work hard to be above average at it. I found that process very enriching, and I still do. So I guess currently the latest thing, this is a fun fact. I've started picking up hacky sack.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm doing with my retired athletic life. I'm still running a little bit, but now I bought my own hacky sack and I'm just kicking it around every day, trying to get really good at it. So
Obviously, you have that competitive gene that obviously runs well through your family. When do you first remember that running became something you wanted to be not only do but be competitive at?
yeah, this goes back to fourth grade, really. I was playing football. And I played football from third grade until high school. I stopped right before my freshman year. But they had this thing called mileage club at recess, and you could get little foot tokens if you ran a certain amount of laps around a big field at recess. And I was like, foot tokens? That's awesome. I'm going to get all of them. So me and my buddies just started running and just running at recess instead of playing, which is kind of wild to think about it. But getting those little token economy motivations, a little external motivation to discover the intrinsic motivation I had, because that's when I found out I was pretty good. We do the mile run in gym, and I would usually, I'd come in first in my class every time, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I guess I'm good at running, but didn't know if I wanted to really pursue it until I did like track, because we also at Jenison in the elementaries, they have this big like champions of champions race where once a
Oh,
year
yeah.
have you heard of this?
Yes, I remember it well.
Yeah,
Covering even.
so you qualify. Your elementary school runs a qualifier for fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, and if you're top 15 or top 30, there's some qualifying number, then you can run at the big race called Champion of Champions, where you race all the other elementary schools. And that was a big deal. So it was just a fun little mile race. So then I knew I wanted to do track, but I was figuring I would do football and track. And then my 8th grade year, I got injured at football, just like a little hairline fracture in my wrist. So I don't think it was season ending, but I was definitely out for a few weeks. And I could go to the practices and watch, but I figured, all right, well, I'll just run cross country meets and go to football practices to stay in shape. And I ended up doing quite well just walking up, which is really what kind of pulled me. Once I realized I was a lot better at running than I was at football, that was where I was like, okay, I should really consider doing this. And then I discerned a lot and prayed over it and talked about it with my family. And yeah, went out for cross country and stopped wrestling after freshman year, and then just fully committed to running sophomore year up. That was kind of that slow progress.
How much was deciding where you wanted to go to school, continuing that running career? Was that a big factor, a small factor, or how did you, as you were discerning where you wanted to go to college, whether or not you wanted to be a college student athlete?
I definitely wanted to, after my success of my junior year cross country season. I finished way better at the state meet than I was ranked. And then that's when I really was like, okay, I'm definitely good, not just for my high school, but I'm good for, just athletes. Like the cool thing about running is you can just see how good you are.
Hmm.
Like you literally just get lined up against other people and it's your times. So it's a pretty objective tracker of your progress. It's really not subjective at all, which also can make it pretty brutal. But I had a lot of objective evidence that I could do pretty well in college. And I was figuring out, do I want to go D1? I was getting recruited by some D1 schools like Purdue. I remember sending me a letter. Unfortunately, junior year track season didn't happen, which I think hurt a lot of my D1 prospects, because then I didn't get to capitalize on the fitness that I had.
Yeah.
But I was planning on I verbally committed to go to Central Michigan actually, because that's where my mom went, and I was like, oh, that'd be a great opportunity, and they have a good education program. And then they actually ended up cutting their men's track, which I thought was a pretty good sign that I should just go to a small school.
That's a good one right there. That's pretty clear, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I want to do the big school thing, and then, but I was still on the fence, and then I was like, okay, I'll do the small school. So then I only ended up really applying to Hope, Hillsdale, and Cornerstone, and checked all of those out, and I liked Hope. That's how I landed at Hope, even though I specifically stated at the beginning of my college search that I was not going to go to Hope. So
What did you find about Hope for you that ended up deciding, yep, this is where I want to commit the next chapter in my life?
when I was scouting colleges, I was paying attention to 3, 4 things. I was paying attention to the coach and the team because all of them were athletic visits for me. The campus, and also how much I could get involved with other things because I didn't want to only run. I wanted to do other things. And then, of course, food. Food was actually the top of my priority list.
That's true. That's a reasonable that's a reasonable one for sure.
I mean, I'm such a foodie even still. And I was like, if I'm going to be running 60 or 70 miles a week, I have to eat a lot of food. And if that food is abysmal, then that is not going to be great. So I really liked Hope's food. And I ended up being the Phelps MC my senior year, kind of just like running some like trivia nights and karaoke nights at it, which is really fun. But so yeah, Phelps, the campus as well. I really like Hope's campus, how walkable it is. And originally I actually came on a theater scholarship. I was going to do theater as well, but then I realized that's not very practical. I realized pretty quickly it was not very practical to do that as well as run, kind of a pick and choose. So I decided to just run because I can still be in theater the rest of my life, but I can't be a collegiate level athlete.
Before I get to some of the things you experienced competitively during your career, I hope I have to ask, what's your favorite Phelps item then? Like, if you could choose, I'd probably like choosing children. I understand, but what would you say, especially for someone coming in, you got to have this.
Chicken enchiladas, bang, right there. So unbelievably good. And this year they had this salmon wrapped in a croissant, which they had not done like earlier. And sometimes they have really good fruit too. It's like that's such a treat when they have like really fresh fruit. They always have fresh fruit, but when you get like the strawberries and the blueberries and the blackberries, that stuff is my jam. It's so good.
It's good to know. I did not have. I know what you're saying on chicken enchiladas. Did not have the salmon croissant. I will be in a lookout for that this upcoming year then, and I'm sure others will be as well. With that.
It's fantastic. It's a life changer for real. What's your favorite Phelps item?
They have. I always butcher the name, but it's a chicken one too. Why am I drawing? I'm drawing a complete blank on it. But I've gone now where actually it's the bar. Whenever they have the chicken shawarma bar, I'll probably go with that with the bowl and stuff. That's just so good with the different options there, and they rotate it obviously with gyros and other type of stuff. But give me a chicken shawarma and I'll be in a pretty good place.
Yeah, Phelps has good chicken. They do like chicken. There's a lot of chicken there.
Yes.
But they also have really good steak. Really good steak.
It is. There's some coworkers that it's some good steak, or if it's a good burger night, they are all for it, without a doubt. At Hope College, we believe intercollegiate sport is a powerful vehicle for education and personal development. The mission of Hope Athletics is to promote and provide programs defined by academic success, competitive excellence, and transformational experiences. The Orange and Blue Fund exists to support this mission for more than 500 student athletes each year who participate in Hope athletic programs. Our student athletes and teacher coaches are passionate about using sport, academics, and service to shape their time at Hope College. Your gift to the Orange and Blue Fund may be used in leadership development, transformational experiences, and enhancements to facilities and equipment and technology. Give online to the Hope Athletics Orange and Blue Fund at hope.edu/orange and blue. What
Yeah,
you've been a part watching from me as far as I get, as far as in my role, you've been a part of the cross country and track and field programs really start to, I think, build up. It kind of culminated this year, the senior year for cross country. We'll start their first trip as a team to nationals since 1991. A pretty special feat. What did that cross country season mean to you amid some of the other successes that you've had individually?
yeah. This my career is pretty interesting as I look back on it because in the first half it was largely focused on individual success. I'd say I have more individual success from my earlier years, but then I started pouring into leadership roles in the team a lot more in my latter years, and then being able to see that be very fruitful this year was great. My biggest concern this year was more about just being a good leader because, we had a really fast freshman class, and this team has been building in talent and size since my freshman year when our freshman class was half the team. There's 8 of us, and then only only 3 of us originally remain because Jonathan and Lucas, who are also seniors this year, they actually didn't run fall of their freshman year, so they're coming back for a 5th year.
Okay.
They're doing one extra season. So there's only 3 of us from the very original incoming class of 2021 that were running this year. But now next year you've already got 8 seniors, and the freshman class is huge, and we've got an incoming class of I think about 15, which was the size of the team when I joined. So it's crazy to see how it's growing in size, but also we're running so much better. And unfortunately, we didn't get to run a conference championship this year by 1 point. That was a heartbreaking loss. But we were our best out there, and we got them at nationals too. So that was good on the bigger stage, just
What
me being competitive.
what have you learned about leadership these especially these last 2 years, and something that you will take with you into your next chapter?
It's really about how well you can listen. I think a lot of people, when they think leadership, it's a privilege, it's a status where you're calling all the shots. And to an extent, people do look to you for guidance. But I think it's about really understanding and serving those who elected you to lead them. So I was trying to do a lot to benefit others, and some of that includes training really hard so I can help on the actual course. But definitely just getting to be somebody that every guy on the team is comfortable going up to and helping with whatever conflicts or advice people are dealing with, and just trying to be on everybody's court. Like I'm somebody who I want everybody to feel like I've got their back, because I do.
Because you guys in track and field, and those who run cross country and track and field, face the longest season of anybody. I mean, you're starting as school starts, and then you finish as school ends. I think swimmers and divers might be second in terms of length of seasons when you commit to that much. What have you learned about athletically that you've tried to help others realize how to manage everything? Because not only do you have class, you got practice, you got competitions. Cross country, you're building toward the end of the season to be at a peak. Similarly in track and field, what have you learned about how to manage that? Because it's not easy to compete in 3 seasons, in an academic year.
Oh yeah, that is definitely a very taxing thing mentally and physically. When you think about our off season being 2 weeks from the end of November into the beginning of December, and then 2 weeks from the end of or the beginning of May or the end of May if you keep going until June. So there's about a month out of the year we're actually not training because that summer training is what makes your fall good or not. It's all about listening to your body and not pushing too much too fast. And with running especially, that's one of like the hardest things on your body because you're just pounding and pounding. So it's very injury prone. So you have to supplement, you have to realize how much stress your body can take that's helpful. And also mentally, you've got to be able to chill out. And sometimes that means just taking a cross training day or just taking a day off here or there that you need. Like I usually ran 6 days a week. I usually wouldn't run on Sundays. And then if for some reason I was really sick or starting to hurt, I would just do a short bike ride. But a lot of it's consistency and slowly building up your body's endurance to stress without getting too excited and training too hard. Because it's really easy to train too hard when your body feels good. That's, I
Yeah.
think, what a lot of the young guys struggle with. Like I got Achilles tendonitis. I guess I don't know if it was tendonitis, but I had a big Achilles problem my freshman year, and I guess I was only out 2 weeks, but
Probably
that's
felt like an eternity, I'm sure.
oh yeah, I remember just it feels like it was my whole first semester. It feels like the whole semester, but I ended up finishing well at conference, so it clearly wasn't the whole season. But yeah, the bike is everybody's least favorite thing, but sometimes it's what you need because there's no pounding on the bike.
Yeah.
It's very running specific, but just pretty much rolling through the punches and not getting too excited and overtraining.
And then on top of that, you also have classes in the academic rigor at Hope. Tell us about what you studied and how you learned how to manage that part of college life as well, in addition to the competitive part and the social part.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was math education and computer science. I double majored. But the thing about the math education major is you have to get a full math major within that. So pretty large double major. And that's not easy. You really need to be willing to sacrifice a lot of typical college social hangouts or sometimes if you get invited to go on a trip, you're probably traveling for cross country and it's really just eat, sleep, run, school for most of it. But still, you'll still have time for other things, but you have to be really smart. Like going on your phone is not really an option for multiple hours on the day.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people think it's impossible, but if you think about how much time the average person wastes, if you just don't waste that time, you do have a lot more capabilities to kind of stretch yourself. But it definitely was hard. Basically, the traveling I remember was the hardest part, missing class often enough. But you just have to, I would always tell people, you just communicate with your professors and your coach, and everybody wants you to succeed. So an open line of communication will get you an extension or allow you to take an exam in a hotel lobby with your coach proctoring you. And definitely being collaborative with others and getting people to take notes for you and working together on assignments is a great way, especially on really hard stuff that you were out of lecture for. It's just helpful to kind of meet up with your classmates and don't try to do everything on your own because then you're likely to fail. So really leaning where you need to.
On top of that, I was looking up. You were an RA at Hope. You've been a tour guide, a tutor, Night Kirk member. You went on a seed trip. When you think about some of those activities, what are some of the ones? I'm sure there's like a ton of memories, but some of the ones that jump out to you that were really impactful for you.
Oh, impactful. I mean,
Or memorable, or whatever kind of.
It's hard. Okay, I'm gonna give a cheap answer, but then I'm gonna tell a fun story. So we'll
Gotcha.
do both. My favorite part about doing a lot of different things is meeting a lot of different people, and working on close teams with others is a great way to foster like just lifelong relationships. So I've had the extraordinary opportunity to meet and get close with a lot of people at Hope, and Hope people are the best. So I've definitely got a ton of people that I can go to for any reason, and just being able to grow in a lot of different ways and be challenged by a lot of different people has made me better. And I like to think that I've helped make positive impacts on the people that I've come across with. Now, a fun story. If you get to know enough people, you get to ask for some favors. So one, yeah, I don't know if this is like, well, I guess we'll see. This is a really cool opportunity I've had. So our RA squad of Phelps Hall, which is the best one because the dining hall's in there too. So it's very
Yeah.
tactical where it wanted to live. Chicken enchiladas right downstairs.
Hard
We
to
had
beat.
the end of the year, and we were kind of going around, and one of the guys on my team knows campus safety pretty well, and they let us go in the bell tower of the chapel, like all the way up top,
Oh, wow.
which was sweet. So like completely campus safety approved, but
Yeah.
very
Not something
cool.
everybody gets to do.
No, yeah, definitely. The funny thing is, I got to do that twice because one time during RA training, they were doing like you build an egg drop off of the bell tower, and one time I ran some egg projects up there, some of the contraptions, and I got to go up there. So got to do that twice, both through residential life, which was fantastic. So that view from up top of the chapel is insane. You can see so far, and it's a lot of trees. It's a lot more trees than you think.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was really fun. And of course, Nykirk, we won it my freshman year, which was the only time I actually did it. But that was really fun being to being able to do like a theater-ish thing from high school. But
You've also have a heart for youth. I see you were involved with the Zealand Wildlife Program. You've been on a seed mission trip. I know with those where you work with a lot of children, your career going into education. I'm sure some of that is your mom and your family, but what is it about working with youth and helping them grow is something that is feels like a calling for you?
one thing for sure is one of my high school teachers, Mrs. White, she made a really big lasting impact on me and who I am as a person, along with a lot of other people. But that was honestly one of the biggest reasons I went into education. It was more than my mom being a teacher. Because I wasn't actually sure, but I know I figured it out junior year of high school. So my philosophy going forward is if I can impact at least one person the way that I've been impacted, then I think that will be worth it. And I also really like working with people. With education, you're faced with a lot of dynamic situations because you get a new group of students for secondary every hour, and then also a new grade each year. So there's a lot of dynamic moving parts, which for me just will keep me from burning out and keeping it different. But I just love working with kids because they're so honest and they really are, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Um, it's a very key developmental part of life, and there's a lot of good work and good influence that can be made at that stage of life. And kids are really fun. I have a lot of extra energy, so I can match their energy most of the time. I just met up with one of my Young Life kids last night, and we just played hacky sack for like over an hour and a half, which was really great. And he was the one who was like, "All right, you ready to be done?" I was like, "Yeah, if you're done."
What's next for you? Are you searching for jobs or what's kind of next for you, Connor?
Yeah. The thing with the double major is I still have to student teach. So
Hmm.
I just need to finish up student teaching this fall. I'm not taking any other classes. So it's just going to be student teach. And then 2026, we will begin the job search in education likely. But backup plan in case that's tough to find a job in, which I don't think it will be. But I can also get a software engineering type job as well because I have a full computer science and math degree too. So I've got a little bit of wiggle room with the career. But ideally, coach. I'm going to be assistant coaching at Jenison in the fall. And
Oh,
then
nice.
I'll be student teaching at Zealand East and leading Young Life. So I'll be doing a lot of things that I want to be involved with as a teacher. So it's going to be busy, but very fulfilling semester for me.
Certainly, and it sounds like if it wasn't, you would be idle time. Doesn't sound like something you want anyway. So that'll be a lot of
Yeah.
lot of fun. And lastly, as we wrap up here, and I appreciate you sharing your story here. It's been great to listen. There are going to be some freshmen coming in this fall that were like you were 4 years ago. Obviously, circumstances a little different. Thankfully, we're not necessarily a pandemic that we're coming out of or in the middle of, but still, they're coming to college and they're maybe competing and trying to figure things out. What advice you've had some nuggets kind of throughout here, but particularly when it comes to hope and maximizing their hope experience, which I feel like you have done. What advice for you would you give to them to help them get the most out of their time at Hope and be prepared, for the post-college chapter in their life?
A big mistake a lot of people in college in general make is not doing enough and not trying enough things. A big thing at Hope is that people will do too much. So it's a good try a lot of different things, but then only commit to doing a few. My sophomore year was crazy. There was that semester, that like fall semester, I had 1 hour of free time a day and I would just watch an episode of Breaking Bad. That was like my little bit of time to myself. It was between 3 and 4. That was my time. So leave enough time for yourself, but also try a lot of different things right at the beginning. Just like go to a bunch of first meetings or clubs or hang out with this group of people, see if you jive with them. And then after saying yes to trying a lot, be very selective in what you commit to so you can excel and healthily pursue a lot. Because I definitely think, especially in my earlier years, I committed to a little bit too much. But that's how you can maximize that Hope experience, because Hope has a lot of personal aspects to the college, it being a smaller institution. So that I got really obsessed with how personal everything was and just wanted to do all of it. But you can't treat yourself like a robot, because then you're not going to have enough time to pour into yourself or pour into your faith or pour into your friends or your family. Wherever you want to build those relationships, you need some spare time as well to do that.
Well, thank you so much, Connor. I don't think I'll be able to look at chicken enchilada at Phelps the same now. I will think of you, and maybe we'll figure out someday a way for maybe robot delivery to wherever you are. So, but no, in all seriousness, it's been a joy to chat with you, and it's been fun to cover you and watch your teams rise as well. So thanks for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your summer and a busy fall.
Can I actually add something real quick?
Absolutely.
This is a dining hall tip that I've been holding out for a long time, but I think I can finally pass the secret down. If you want to make your own Chick-fil-A sauce, 3 pumps of barbecue, 2 pumps of ketchup, 2 pumps of mayo, 1 pump of mustard, and then a little bit of honey, and you have a perfect Chick-fil-A sauce.
Man, this is what he's done. He's helping us all, as he's done with his teammates, and now to everyone listening, they'll know what to do for a little homemade Chick-fil-A sauce. That's I'm gonna have to give that a try. I will write that recipe down.
Great. All right. Thanks so much for having me on.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Connor.